Hey everyone, it's Maydad here from YNV Health and Wellness, and tonight I'm joined with Nadia Barkos from Chill Technology. Hi Nadia, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. And yourself?
Excellent, thank you. Tonight's topic that we're going to be discussing is mental health and exercise, and the effects of exercise on mental health. Now, we've got a special guest here tonight. He's a dear friend of mine. His name is Phil McDonald. Now, this guy is amazing. Phil has held 3 world records. He's also an open ocean paddler, and he's been doing it for 20 years. Welcome to the show, Phil, and how are you doing?
G'day, mate. Dad, I'm great, mate. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great to have you. It's been a while since we've spoken, so it's great to catch up. What have you been up to?
Mate, just training, staying healthy, staying fit, looking after the heart. I think you know about the heart condition I developed not long ago that I found out about. So I've just got a zone, training zone 2 these days, which for anyone that's not aware of what zone 2 is, it's not getting your heart rate above a certain level where you're not able to speak. So basically training and being able to speak at the same time, which is pretty easy for me most times to speak while I'm training, people would say. But yeah, so all jokes aside, yeah, I've got what translates to a hernia on my heart below the aorta, and it's only at 13% at the moment. They don't think it's induced, they think it's congenital. But still, the cardiologist has warned me, and especially at the age 62, not to engage in any training now that's going to spike my blood pressure. So, yeah, new challenges await, mate.
Amazing. It's I never would have thought that about you, Phil. I know you've had a little bit of a heart condition, but I knew that was like that, and stuff that you've accomplished and done with your life is just incredible. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about what are you doing these days, how you got into working with health and fitness, and all your involvement with the wellness industry? Because I've seen some of the stuff that you're doing on Facebook, on social media, and commend you for it. And this is what really instigated for us to have you here on tonight's Zoom. So if you could tell us a little bit about what's been going on, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. More than happy to. Look, I've always been involved in fitness and sport from a very young age. My father took me to the local rugby union club at Northmead, where I grew up, out West Parramatta. And I think from the age of under 7, under 8s, I played rugby union. And even then, about the age of 11, Dad was a boxing promoter as well. So he took me to local Parramatta PCYC, where I got involved in boxing. And they're basically my 2 loves, football and boxing. And I was that, sort of taken with football more so than boxing. But I'd be training the morning before school, after school, at school. It really preoccupied so much of my life, more than the studies. So all that good money my parents was wasted on, going to Maris Brothers. But so as I've become older, it's just something that's, I guess, in me, and the knowledge that I've acquired along the way over many years, it just seemed like a natural progression, mate, add to want to teach other people and share what knowledge I have got. So these days, I'm a boxing coach. I teach group sessions a couple of times a week at a local gym. I teach private sessions, one-on-one, regularly through the week. I train myself up to 6 days a week. Sometimes I train 2 sessions a day. So, yeah, I'm keeping myself involved, but there is a real joy, as you would know yourself,
Yes,
in imparting your knowledge to other people and watching them grow through challenge.
that's amazing, Phil. Look, I know we've been talking about this in the past, and we also talked in person about your ocean paddling and how involved and how intense that was. Can you tell us a little bit about your background with your ocean paddling, Phil?
Yeah, well, look, after my football finished with, I had some pretty severe injuries. I've broken both legs, plates in my right leg, broken jaw, broken cheekbone, dislocated vertebrae in my neck, shoulder reconstructions. It was, I never listened to my mother when she said take up tennis. So,
like most boys.
I just had this mindset. I've always had this mindset, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, of attitude of never wanting to give up. So, but that was forced upon me, hence my injuries. And then I got into surf life saving and competing, and then I became friends with a guy called 𝙈𝙤𝙮𝙗𝙗. And Steve persuaded me and this is well over 20 years ago now, up on the Central Coast where I was living at the time, to come and try outrigger canoe paddling, where they compete in the open ocean. So the fact that I was a surfer and surf lifesaver, I sort of took to it, pretty well. I really enjoyed it. The travelling as well and competing. So I got into that. I competed for over 20 years. I was fortunate enough to win an Australian title on the two-man canoe in Tasmania with a mate called 𝙤𝙤𝙮𝙗𝙗𝙗, who's just an absolute machine when it comes to paddling. And
you guys must have been very fit, Phil.
Yeah, look, we train, the house down, especially when there was something like an Australian title coming up, and John and I would train, early mornings in Sydney, and brace ourselves against the cold, and there was some good times there, and so yeah, look, there was a lot of training, and I went on to win, some state titles, as a handful of state titles, as well as the Australian title with John, and then fortunate enough to travel overseas and get on the podium over there in the six-man team events. And that sort of culminated with me, ended up, I went on to becoming New South Wales president in the administrative area of the sport, and sitting on the national board. I left not long after that, left the sport of competing there. And, one thing I can say about trying to affect change, which was my competitive nature coming out of me, trying to affect change in the sport, and I think it's a good lesson for anyone in anything we do, is realise that not everyone shares your enthusiasm or the same interests as yourself. And this is why I think it's really important to sound out and surround yourself with people that are on the same page as you, in whatever you're doing.
I couldn't agree more with you, Phil. I couldn't agree more with you, Phil.
Yeah. So that pretty much, puts the time that I had in paddling, that sort of neatly tidies that question up. It was sort of, time goes so quick, so it was over and done, before I knew it. Do I miss the competitive side of it? Yeah, sure. But when that finished, I sort of turned the hand back to boxing, which I'd always used boxing, made as a sort of cross training, if you like, and I'd always enjoyed the camaraderie there, the fitness that you're able to attain from boxing training is like no other sport in the world. Like paddling, I believe, you've got to be fit. I believe, Phil, that
sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, but like, paddling, sure, you've got to be fit, but paddling paddling, you've got to be fit, yeah, sure. But with boxing, it's a different energy system, as you would know, and you've done very well yourself in that area, and there's no other sport like it on earth when it comes to the explosive level of fitness that you need to possess to not just participate but to compete.
It's true. I believe, Phil, you've held 3 world records. Can you share with our audience and others who are going to be watching this back a little bit about those great accomplishments that you've made with those 3 world records.
Yeah, look, we all know the great 𝙈𝙾𝙮𝙮. We're both friends with him. Ian, I'm proud to say is my best mate and my trainer.
I was best man at his sister's wedding many years ago. She married one of my clients, Ben, and I was best man at his wedding. I can tell you a story, Phil. Sorry to intervene, but they forgot the ring.
Oh my God!
And they turned around to me and said to me, "Where's the ring?" And I said, "How would I know?"
No pressure, mate. No pressure.
No, and ended up pulling up a Batman ring or some sort of a different ring that he had on his finger, and he just used that. But geez, I never felt so nervous in my life and so embarrassed. But it had nothing to do with me. They just forgot the ring.
It's almost like a metaphor for life, preparing to be, for the unprepared, almost. And look, every time, you or I step in the ring, you don't know what you're going to get, and it's you find out about yourself. I think hugely in the sport of boxing, you find out who you are, what you're capable of, your resilience, your tolerance. There's so many challenges, and as we both know, there's no growth without challenge. And
struggle and
my word. And I've found myself in dark times that just knuckling down and pushing through, and just getting into that routine, into that groove of training, and just going through the other routines in your life, but having a routine as a mainstay that is training, that is part of what you do every day, is a game winner. And look, I want to give you a great example of that. And so Ian and I, we were training for my first world record, which came about because of COVID. And so we were actually training to do my second world record. But what happened, we couldn't get the Guinness Book of World Record judges out here because of COVID. So we'd been training, some long sessions on the heavy bag, like 10-hour sessions at a time, non-stop on the heavy bag. And so I said to Ian, we can't get these guys out here, with COVID and whatnot. I said, I've got an idea. He said, what's that? I said, how about I do a marathon effort on the heavy bag? He said, what are you thinking? 150 rounds? And I said, no, I'm thinking 24 hours. He said, what, every 3 minutes you take a minute break? I said, no, 24 hours non-stop on the heavy bag.
That's incredible.
So we trained for that for a good couple of years. And, we really put the work into that. There were some long sessions, hard sessions, sessions where I doubted myself. And this comes back, and it's underpinned by what I said earlier about having the right crew around you. And, Ian would get into my psyche, and it's just a reflection of what a great mate he is. And so we embarked on this it was late January 2021, and I did it to raise money for mental health for best man at my wedding. We graded the same year together at Parramatta Rugby Union, and Les took his own life, and too much with the demons that he was wrestling with, and that it's still hard for me to articulate how it makes me feel. So the best way for me to navigate through that was, I said to Ian, well, let's raise money for mental health and awareness, more so for mental health rather than just the money side of it. And when you embark on a marathon challenge, there's a lot of mental fortitude that goes into it, because at the end of the day, you've got to bite down, and self-belief is one of those things you've got to bite down on to get you through. You've got to leverage against those that are nearest and dearest to you, And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what struggle you're going through or what goal you're trying to attain, like I did there in the January 2021. And look, we achieved it, and that was reinforcement for me enough to go forward and, apply the same sort of disciplines, the same sort of routines that we work with to achieve that first world record. They were able to be, translated into other areas of my life. And not just me, that can be translated, if it's taught properly, that can be translated, that type of mental thinking to anyone's life and have, great dividends. So
there must have been so many things going through your mind when you take on a marathon like that, like anything. It's like 𝙀𝙭𝙙𝙬𝙾. I don't know if you remember. She's a lady that sailed around the world in a yacht by herself. There must be so many things that are going through your mind while you're going through that. Like, say you must have got to the 12-hour mark, or 10-hour mark, or 20-hour mark, and just before the end, like, oh God, you must have had these thoughts. I know when I was in New Zealand, I was trying to break the 1-arm push-up record, the Guinness Book of Records. So I was preparing it month after month after month, and I was doing it once a month because my body was so sore after the session. Wow. So I'd go from one arm to another arm for a whole hour, and the goal was to get 1,500 push-ups, 1-arm push-ups in 1 hour. Unfortunately, I got to 900 and something, and I was preparing to get over. And I thought I actually felt like I could have broke it, because all I had to do was 15 on one arm and 15 on another arm per minute, and I was working towards it. I think I got to about 9 or 10 on each arm, so that's 20 per minute. But when I spoke to the guys at the Guinness Book of Record in England, they told me that some top Asian or Japanese gymnast did like a couple of thousand. I thought, oh, well, I'm never going to do that. So I let it go. But I'm asking you, what sort of thoughts went through your mind when you got to like the 20-hour mark, the 18-hour mark? Were you thinking, oh, well, I'm 4 hours away now, I'm going to stick it out. I'm 3 hours away now, I'm going to stick it out. Or were you, at any point, were you doubting yourself, or did you have any, negative thoughts that you wanted to stop, or, and
well, look, we did one session in the gym one particular day, a couple of months before the actual attempt, and we trained, Ian and we trained for, I think it was shy on 14 hours straight, no breaks. I sparred, hit the bag, shadow boxed, hit the speedball, just one thing after another. So just shy on 14 hours. So anything, post 14 hours was going to be unknown territory. So I got to 13 hours, and we started at, I think it was 8 a.m. on this Friday morning. And my father walked in and he said, Philip, I'll give Annika a call tomorrow morning just to make sure you're still going before your mother and I drive down, from Parramatta. And I thought, what? He's going to ring tomorrow morning just to make sure I'm still going before he, as you're saying, he doesn't want to waste his time coming down tomorrow morning if I'm not still going. Anyway, I fed off that, right, for like until the next week. So he knew how to get to me, right? He knew how to get to me. Anyway, it turned out to be the last time I ever saw Dad conscious, but we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, I got to the 13th hour and I just started to feel weird. I started to feel nauseous. I was having trouble focusing with my eyes. I had trouble starting to speak my words, getting the words out. And then as I crumpled, Ian, there was this chair, like an office chair on rollers. He threw it under me as I collapsed and said, keep punching. They massaged my legs. Bobby Antonakis, that we know, was there. He walked in and said, blood sugar. So he ran up to local service station. It was still open. Got some jelly beans, came down, got some jelly beans into me. They massaged my legs, got me up. I was having these blood sugar crashes. And so they got me going. I'd had to battle those blood sugar drops right through to 8 o'clock the following morning. And I had another crash, and I said to myself, right, if I'm going to go out, I'm not going to give up while I'm standing on my feet conscious. I'm going to go as hard as I can, and, you know, they can carry me out of here. I don't want anyone to say that I just gave up, you know. I'll have to be unconscious before, you know, they say you collapse. That was the only reason you stopped. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to up the ante a little bit here. This was just after the 13th hour, thereabouts. And I had all these names written on the bag, you know, people that were important in my life, you know, my family, people that had passed that were important to me. And I tried to sort of G myself up, motivate myself, you know, just through the inspiration those people had been and are in my life. Nothing would come. And I thought, that's all bullshit, you know, like trying to tap into energy and that sort of stuff. I thought that's just all, you know, garbage. So as soon as I sort of put this effort in, what happened next was weird. It was like I just got a second wind. I don't know where it came from. And it was like it was 8 o'clock that morning before. That was the same sort of energy level I had that kicked in. Now, you know, I often talk to people about this. Now, I don't know whether that was self-induced, whether I sort of just willed myself into that, or whether that was the hand of God on my shoulder, or, you know, the combined energy of all those people I just spoke about. You know, I'd like to think in a sort of a bit of a sentimental sort of way that it was those people, their combined energy that lifted me. And to this day, mate, Ed, if I want to spur myself on, I leverage against the things that mean something to me. And, mate, there's nothing more important than family. And as I said, 𝙈𝙬𝙪𝙾 is my best mate. He's more than a best mate. Ian's family. And, you know, I think about what those people mean to me in my life, what they've done for me. And that's what I leverage against. It's not just when I'm trying to complete a goal, you know, a world record or any type of physical, you know, achievement at all. It's in everything I do. You know, I find myself saying to myself, you know, there's my dad's no longer with us. I find myself almost hearing his voice saying, well, you're not going to give up on that, eh? You're not going to give up on this, eh? You know, that's what I would do, Philip, if that was me. And that resonates with me and other people that mean something to me. That's the motivation and inspiration that gets me through things that I have to do. If I'm having a bad day, it doesn't matter, whatever it is. And, you know, everything that I speak about to people, and I do a little bit of public speaking. I've got a program that I teach in the schools called Becoming the Best Version of You. We use boxing and breath work, but we use a lot of adaptations around what it means to leverage, what it means to become the best version of you. You know, obviously that's not just by, you know, going to boxing training, doing breath work. There's so many other variables that come into play that people can adopt. And for me, that's a big part of what I do these days and want to continue to do, is to inspire and motivate other people to become the best version of themselves. Because when I'm doing that, mate, Ed, and when I'm making a difference, and it's nothing egotistical about that whatsoever, I'm actually becoming the change that I want to see in my own community. And so then it's like dropping the proverbial pebble in the pool. You know, whoever I teach to, they can then take that and they can then showcase that and mentor to their own friends and their own family. And it just keeps going. And so to see that in work, and it's so gratifying. I've got a young bloke that I'm training at the moment. He's just turned 17. He came to me, it's been just about on 18 months he's been with me now, and he's lost just on 30 kilos. He was bullied at school. Technically, he's developing into quite a good young boxer. It took him probably 12 months to even smile. And now I've got him to a point where the last 6 months, he's even initiating conversations, which he wouldn't do before. And so I've seen that direct benefit of the impact that I've had on someone just by teaching and relaying some of these principles to him. And that says to me that this works. You might have to temper your approach depending on, who you're dealing with. But, by the by, these principles work.
Tell me, Phil, I hear all you're saying, and it comes back to exercise. And now we all know that exercise produces great endorphins, releasing serotonin in the human body. But how important do you feel exercise is for people suffering from mental health complications? Now, we know that in men and women today, there's 3 in 5 women, there's about 2 in 5 men that suffer from some form of mental health complications, whether it be anxiety, whether it be depression, whatever it may be. How important is exercise to combat mental health? Can you share with our viewers your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, I'm big on movement. It doesn't matter whether you're moving forward, sideways, just keep moving. And through exercise, there is growth, right? Whenever we challenge ourselves, there is growth. And a byproduct of that growth is confidence. So, for people with anxiety, they're anguished about, anything at all. Look, we've just got so much on our plate these days, cost of living, and there is concern for people in households, with, husband and wife situation, raising kids, people at work under pressure, bosses pushing them, to improve the bottom line. And look, I would say, look, you've got 24 hours in a day. Maybe you're not being as productive with that time as you can be, but you need to make a priority for exercise, because exercise has got a direct correlation to good mental health. And so it's not just our health that we want to take care of through fitness, through exercise, it's our mental health. And good mental health becomes, I believe, a byproduct of exercising, but exercising where you can challenge yourself, because as I said before, there's growth through challenge. And if that's, you're assisted by a good trainer or a good coach in a group situation, we can help you navigate, personal goals. And, a little bit of a push isn't a bad thing. And to challenge you. And when you see that growth, you're going to feel good about yourself. And you're going to see a difference from day one. And that's also something you can apply to other challenges you face in your life. Because when you come up against the challenge, you can say to yourself, look, I got through that when I didn't think I could. Therefore, I can apply the same sort of mindset to get through this, whatever it may be. Also, having someone you can talk to is hugely important. Now, I know especially with men that there's this garbage thinking around
bravado, stubbornness.
They can't talk to someone that it's weak to speak. It is actually strong. It's a strength to go and speak. It's not weak to clam up and say nothing. Go and speak. If it's just a mate, go and have a beer with him. Go and have a cup of coffee with him, And then, look, if you think you need to, because therapy can be, you don't have to go to a therapist all the time. The best therapy can just be someone that's prepared to listen, and sometimes to feel heard is, I think, and I felt it in the past, just to feel heard can just be a massive gain for someone that's anxious or is anguishing about different things. And look, if you can't afford a trainer or to go to the gym or whatever, grab a friend, go hiking, go for a walk along the beach, get a cup of coffee, get out in the fresh air, get some sun, just move the body and, talk. It's really important to speak.
Yeah, a sense of validation is important for somebody going through a tough moment. That's really informative, Phil. It's nice to listen to your view on and take on things. Obviously, to any of our viewers watching this, Phil's not talking about you have to go out and do what he's done and punch the bag for 24 hours or kayak across Australia or across the, run across the Malabord or something like that. But little challenges, it could be just like losing a couple of extra pounds or just having the discipline to wake up each morning and go for a 4-kilometer walk or a little jog or a quick swim or something just to get out. And he's talking about how important exercise is, and it doesn't have to be anything extremely vigorous, but something to just get you moving and stimulate your body. And Phil, that was really great to hear what you had to say. Look, I'm sure some of our viewers, looking back on this, are going to have lots of questions. So wanted to ask you if any of our viewers wanted to get in touch with you and learn a little bit more about some of the great work that you do, how would they contact you and how would they get in touch with you?
Sure. Yeah. I'd welcome any questions or, any advice that people have. More than happy to help. So on Instagram, FitOldBoys62. So it's fit_OL_boys_62. And on Facebook, it's Philip James McDonald. And as I said, more than happy for anyone out there that's listening that, look, you might just have a question on health and fitness. Your question might revolve around mental health. I'm happy to answer your question, help you where I can. If I can't, suggest, maybe somewhere that you can go to get your question answered. That's a sincere offer. So, yeah, please don't hesitate.
Yeah, that's great, Phil. So there you go, guys. Phil has just shared. If you want to get in contact with him and if you want to learn anything about the great work that he does, give him a call or send him a message, and I'm sure that he'll get back to you and will be more than happy to support you in any way he can. Look, it's been great talking to you, Phil, and having you on the show today. Maybe we should make another time to catch up. I'd love to catch up with you in person next time you're in Sydney and that. But on that note, I just wanted to share some of the great things that Nadia and I are doing. We've got a retreat coming up in November. It's a Honey and Handsome retreat that's going to be run here in Sydney, in Bondi Beach. And it's a retreat that is only 1 day long for couples to rejuvenate and come together and create more special moments, build on bonds, and with that, so much more. The day is going to be started off with couples going down the beach where they'll be starting the day before sunrise on the sand, doing a yoga session with one of our yoga instructors. And then after that, they will head back to the gym. When they head back to the gym, they will be met by myself, where they will be given refreshments. We'll be doing a human movement class. And after that, we'll be doing some neurotransformation therapy and vision session. Now, the great thing about this retreat is that this is not just this 1 day retreat where you come in and just have fun. It's a retreat that's going to allow them to take so much home with so many golden nuggets. Not only are they going to be fed luscious food at Up South Cafe, like detoxing smoothies and acai bowls and vegan meals and really healthy meals and delicious food, but we've got a specialist coming in. Her name is Lissy Abrahams, and she's a psychotherapist and a relationships expert. She's going to be talking to them about family dynamics, relationships dynamics, and any questions that they may have. She's going to be answering those questions. And obviously, during the retreat, we're going to have team building exercises, and the winning couple will win a prize. It's going to be a great event. We're going to have a finish off the session with a huge climax of a breakthrough, using a breakthrough sessions where every participant will break through a karate board. And it's just going to be an amazing event. And if you have any questions about the event, shoot us a message. Either shoot me a message or shoot Nadia a message. I'm sure Nadia is going to leave us with the details of where to send the message to, and we'll definitely get back to you. Apart from that, thank you for joining us. Have an amazing evening, and we'll catch you next Tuesday night, where we'll have Brendan coming in, who's a neural transformation therapist and a life coach, who's going to be spending the Zoom session talking about what he's been doing and all the great stuff he's been up to. Take care and have an amazing evening. Thank you for joining us. See you guys.